This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy. And she starts to thinking that she's going to torch this Brennan, but nothing happens. And even Andarna is saying, why didn't work? Didn't work because at that moment she wasn't changing colors.
I don't care who it is. I just want to know that you believe there's a distance wielder already on the side of the Brennan.
Yeah, it's in the page. There's a distance wielder, yes.
So Garrick is the balance. It's not going to be Brennan.
Andarna, she doesn't do anything here. She doesn't confirm that yes, that was the first time that she talks to Violet. Andarna was the first one to talk to Violet. Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm Xaden.
And I'm Sean.
And today we cover chapters 52 to 54. And just heads up, we use strong language and explore adult themes.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since the release of the third book.
And before we start with the squad brief, imagine having early access to our episodes while everyone waits for Thursday. You'll enjoy them every Tuesday, plus enjoy bonus content every month and ad-free listening. You can have all this by becoming a supporter. And here's the best part, you can try it for free and cancel anytime. For the best deal, visit faithfullyfantasy.com or simply subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for instant access. Don't miss out and become part of our community of supporters.
Also, if you're enjoying the show, please take a second to rate us wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all of it. It helps more fantasy lovers find us, and it's one of the easiest ways to support what we do. A quick tap and you've made our day. So before we dive in, I just want to say how amazing it was on Tuesday. I got to go to an audience with Kelly Hart. I got a couple of signed copies, so watch this space for a giveaway of Quicksilver, and just kind of a bit of a reminder that that's going to be our next book. I'm getting so excited. Some of the questions that Callie was asked, including one from us, just kind of how long have we got? A few weeks?
It's going to be next month, basically. Yeah. Yes.
So if you haven't already picked up a copy of Quicksilver and given it a read, please do so, because we just can't wait to get stuck into the deep dive, and we want to bring as many of you with us as possible.
Yes. And now, without further ado, let's get into a squad brief.
So this week, Ten takes a brutal wing spur hit. Rhiannon's pulling off battlefield miracles, and Andarna, well, she's ignoring every stay-at-home command she has ever been given. She's headed for Temple. Theophanie, silver-haired and serving full Brennan menace, shows up just long enough to stir chaos at the temple before bailing at the sight of Wyvern Rain. Xaden drops in to save not just Violet but the Temple of Dunne, and some might say that the priestess could owe him a favour for this, wink wink. The wards are here thanks to the appearance of Leothan, but at what price? Our hearts are ripped out of our chests. Andarna is gone, but we will breathe. Enter Big Sister. We exchange secrets with Mira. She knows the truth. Exit Big Sister.
Oh, I remember the first time when I read these chapters. There was so much emotions and also so many questions. Once Leothan come to play and start to do all this kind of stuff, you're like, oh gosh, what's going on here?
I cried in preparation for this episode. I cried when I first read it. I cried when I second read it. And I cried this evening.
Yes, so be prepared for this episode.
I'm not sure I'll get it. Maybe I'll make it through without crying. It's a good job that I did only cry just before this episode.
Yes.
Maybe I've got it all out. We'll see.
Okay, time for a history lesson. Let's dive deep and see what the past is hiding about the future. Chapter 52.
Epigraph. Dedicating oneself to temple work isn't just a noble pursuit. Becoming high priest or priestess is the closest most of us will get to touching the power of the gods. The rest are riders. Major Roreley's Guide to Appeasing the Gods, 2nd edition. So, is temple work more than just faith or devotion? So, when you become a priest, or priestess, you become kind of the word of a god, don't you? You preach the word of the god. This is suggesting that once you become a high priest or a high priestess, you can actually channel the power of a god, or you can feel the power of the god, or you can do something with it. So we know that in the temples of Dunne, they have like visions and things, and a lot of people kind of joke about it and say that they're just high. But this kind of suggests that there is some magic to it. And obviously the things that they have seen, we know are true. So what we hear from Mira in chapter 54, that she's kind of seen a vision.
When I read this the very first time, I was thinking exactly the same. That doesn't mean that actually the priest have power like a rider, because it says here the rest are just riders. So are we actually going to see like a proper willing power from the gods, from one of these person when maybe the moment come? But at the same time, in these chapters, we saw a specific moment that maybe the high priest could do maybe something to defend the temple. But what this person was saying is that it wasn't her work to do, because Dunne has sent Violet to do that.
Yeah, I also am not sure that... So I don't think the priestess at the Temple of Eratia is a high priestess. Mm-hmm. I think the only high priestess...
is the one from Umbrella.
Yeah, that is dedicated. I'm not sure that... Because we find out that they don't dye... That they dye their hair. They're not... Because it's illegal to dedicate in Navarre, so they kind of mimic it, or like, which feels a bit odd in itself. But anyway, I think we do possibly see the power of a god in this chapter, and it's a bit of an unhinged theory, but let's see. Also, I had to read this a few times to get my head around what it was saying about riders, because you can read it in two different ways. The first way you could read it, which I think is the way it's supposed to be written, is most of us only have a chance to become a temple attendant. We can't become riders because either it's not in us or whatever. Most of us won't get close. The rest of the people who will get close are riders. But that doesn't, it doesn't really say that. It like makes me feel like the riders don't have access to the power of the gods. So it's some kind of like anti-god, anti-Christ, I don't know, magic. And actually it's not good magic that these riders are accessing. I don't know if I'm explaining myself really well here, but the closest most of us will get to wielding the power of gods is to become a priest. The rest are riders. Mm-hmm. Anyone can become a rider if you train hard enough. Like, do you know what I mean? So most of us could become riders if we went for it. They take conscripts from all around.
Yeah, from
Navarre.
a point of view, it's saying that you get the maximum power that is right there is through the gods. If you turn yourself into like a high priest. But then if you want just something similar, but it's not the real thing, then you will turn into a rider.
Okay, so it's a bit of both then. So it's not quite the power of the gods. It's close, but it's not the power of the gods.
Yes.
Yeah. Unless you bond an Irid.
Yeah, we still haven't seen like what is their full power on the Irid. We know they are magic. We start to see a couple of things they can do. But I'm sure we haven't seen the full potential.
Doesn't quite work for Andarna in this chapter though, does it? Not with Theophanie.
Yes, but there's a reason for that, and we'll see that.
Okay. We
start the episode with Turn is falling. In the previous chapter, he crushed with a wyvern. Both of them are fallen here. So Turn falls on top of the wyvern, and he got hurt really badly. Sorrengail feel it, and then Xaden feel it as well. And then he starts to shout to Violet because he knows there's something really bad happen. But on the way that Violet described how he is like going through the shields, and so there's just like piercing eyes going through, I found it like really interesting that she said first like some like a kind of ice is coming through the shields, and then she realized that it's actually Xaden.
Yeah, that's because he's on the ice. He's like skirting close to channeling.
Yeah.
Especially as he knows that Violet and Tern are wounded or down. That's what is like compelling him to channel, isn't it?
Yes.
So she's always like, stay off the ice and come off the ice. And I think that's just the metaphor that he is so close to the ice. He's like bursting through her shields.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't know if I shouldn't talk as like a metaphor, or that sometimes it's just like second meaning, and there's actually a reason for that.
I think it's just, I think it's because he's so close to channeling. It's like getting colder, isn't he? Is it supposed to symbolize his like losing a part of himself? He's getting colder. He's getting closer to turning to Asim.
Yeah.
It's the progression of Xaden to the dark side.
But yeah, Tern is fine. He got one part of the wing spot of the wyvern got stuck in Tern's leg. Andarna is there as well, when they would say to her all the time that she need to stay to protect the wards and all that kind of stuff. Tern is not very happy with seeing Andarna there. The first thing that he says is that you're going to make Violet get killed, just like the previous one, and he's not going to lose her like he did with Naolin.
Yeah.
So we have another reference here about Naolin. They're not going to lose her in the same way that the previous one.
Yeah.
But
so she's burning out at this point. She's like
taking all Tern's power without shield.
Yeah, I think she does turn up a bit sunburnt, doesn't she, after this? Like, she not sunburnt, but her skin is red because she is burnt.
Yeah, getting too much power than normal.
Really close to burnout. So this does feel like another reference to, like, burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So either Tern genuinely believes that Naolin burnt out and died, or does Tern have some kind of suspicion that Violet, because it's Andarna in danger or Xaden in danger or somebody is in danger, he's worried that she is going to channel. And he said, because he doesn't say, I will not let her die like the one who came before. He says, I will not lose her like the one who came before.
True.
So is he worried that she's close to channeling? Because that's what Naolin did, and he just became so he lost him regardless. There's so many clues that Naolin became Venom.
Yes.
But there's also, I'm not sure how Tern would be with Sorrengail, because Sorrengail is sticking with Xaden. Why would Tern not have stuck with Naolin? I know that he's very judgmental of Xaden because he's like, calls him the Dark One, and he does. So it's like he doesn't respect the choice of his mate to stay with Xaden.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why would he do that?
When I was reading this, it's obvious the Tern, not the relationship there's between Violet and Andarna. In fact, Violet sees that Andarna is in danger. She can get stress, and that could be one of the reasons for her to channel to try save Andarna as well.
Mm.
So it's, like you say, another reference that actually Naolin turned into a Venom. But we are talking, there's different phases of Venom, different kinds of Venom. And if Naolin did it, was because he was in love of Brennan, so he channeled to save their life.
And you wouldn't immediately break the bond with your dragon, would you? Because Xaden hasn't broken a bond with Sorrengail.
Mm-hmm.
Jack didn't immediately break his bond with whatever that shit stain is called.
Bade,
yeah. So, yeah, I don't think there's enough explanation for him turning Venom.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think there's enough clues to say that he is. So there's only two options really for Naolin, isn't there? One, he's dead.
Born out and dead, like the official version.
Yeah. Three options. Two, Naolin turned Venom. 3, Nayland died. Malik was like, "You're not taking Brennan. You're not. I'm taking Brennan. You're not saving him." Nayland killed Malik, became Malik, and sent Brennan back.
Yeah, I wonder what's more probable.
We're gonna meet Malik, and we're gonna find out. I'm like only 50% joking about this theory. I've been banging on about it since Fourth Wing.
Because Kaori, but remember that now we don't trust Kaori.
We don't trust Kaori, but it doesn't mean he lies about everything.
It's a Venom, if I would think it's a Venom.
Oh, I've just made a link. So is this another box? Is this another tick in the Nailin is a Venom box? Because Kaori says healing
bringing somebody back to life make you a god.
Yeah, but what does he say first? What's the full sentence? So saving someone makes you a hero or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, we can't remember. But he says resurrection makes you a god. Theophanie just said, why worship a god when you can be one?
Yeah.
Is that a tick in the box that Nailin is Venom?
The Venom thing, they are like gods because they have so much power.
And we think Kaori is on the side of the Venom somehow.
Yeah.
So whether you are a god or whether it's just a Venom's perception of being a god, that doesn't matter if it's coming from Kaori, does it? Because Kaori might perceive that type of power as godlike.
Yeah, here we go.
There's
another link there.
Yeah.
So going back to the scene, Violet is checking Terran's leg, and then, yes, she sees this whisper from the wyvern, and it's half of the size of Violet. So she's like, how in hell am I going to be able to remove this from here? So in that moment, Rick comes with Fjord, and Rihanna see what's going on. She saw they had this massive problem. She saw what Violet is trying to remove from Terran, and then she used that signal to take it and put it next to her. And this is a big thing that she's doing. And even Rick says, this is the very first time that she removed something as big as this. But I think this is just the hint that she's going to be able to very soon start summoning people. They're going to be able to take people from one place to another one at will.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she is getting, she's like, I practice. She's getting better and better. And you see how like Riddick has honed his signet from being able to wield ice and like take ice from the air. He's now able to freeze a wyvern
just with a touch
from the inside. Yeah, just all the stuff that Ree could do. Yeah, I think she's going to be able to summon people as well.
Yeah, because I think it was in Iron Flame when she mentioned that she haven't tried to burn a body, just hiding, but she is like willing to practice. And now this is something like this. So I think we're putting the dots together. And maybe in the next book, when she is actually a wing leader and have more power, then we'll see a scene when she has to summon a person, a full grown up.
I don't think she's wing leader material. Sorry, guys.
I think it was just because the family was right there. But if she is somewhere else, that she doesn't have that much to lose.
She doesn't have that much authority. The squad just do what they want. And like they don't tell her everything. I mean, you don't, I guess you don't tell everybody everything. But Sawyer didn't ask for her help. She's not really, I don't know, people are going to come at me for this, but I don't think she's the leader that they need.
Yeah, but we know that Violet, she won't be for wing leader or any other kind of rank because she is a leader, but without being a boss.
Yeah, but you've got a load of other squads that possibly have. But I know their Iron Squad. She's like number one contender. But I just don't. Anyway.
I don't think somebody else will count as a wing leader without being a squad leader before.
Because but each wing has like 7 squads, right?
Yeah, so it will
6
be just
squads?
one wing
6,
leader
maybe.
from maybe other squad, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but you wouldn't. It wouldn't be someone we didn't know, would it? Because it's but it's going to be Ree. Maybe she'll have some growth.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel bad now. But she second guesses herself in these last 100 pages.
Maybe we'll find another wing leader, and then Ree is going to be fighting with this new wing leader, and then we're going to have another enemies to lovers interaction.
No, she's with Tara.
Well, no sense it's going to be a male.
Tara might be wing leader. Anyway, Dane has absolutely no authority, so
Yes.
maybe that's fine.
While all of this is happening, it's happening in front of the Temple of Doom. Theophanie arrives as well. Then Violet says to Ree that she needs to go, so she leaves. But Violet says there, Andarna as well, she's close. And then 2 more Venins arrive to support Theophanie. Then Andarna is the first one to move and set fire. And she starts to thinking that she's going to torch this venom, but nothing happens. And even Andarna is saying, why didn't work? Didn't work because at that moment she wasn't changing colors.
Yeah.
Like she did previously. That when she changed color is when magic feels different. And we're saying that it's in that moment when she's still when she's channeled from the sky.
Yeah.
And when she does that, the venom has something against that. Maybe it's the shock between magic from the sky with the magic from the ground. There's the one they're channeling, and that's what killed them.
Yeah, she does say magic feels different when I change colour, and that's what it is. I also think there could be a couple of other reasons why it doesn't work. So for full completeness, we should mention them, although I'm fully in the same camp as you. The other one could be that 10 was right all along, that the first fire
It's always the hottest.
is always the hottest. Yeah, that would be a bit disappointing if it was actually that. And the second reason, which is a bit more interesting, is that Theophanie was correct in saying that she became a god. And actually she is channeling divine power at this moment. Number one problem with that is that she is killed later in this book with a stone from the Temple of Dunne. So unless she is a physical manifestation of another god, which would be very unlikely, I don't think she became a god. I think Venin have a god complex and they believe that they are gods. So yeah, I don't think it is that, but I think she hasn't put 2 and 2 together yet that she needs to be changing colour to access the power from the sky.
The other option that's very similar to the one that you said there could be a god is she is a maven. So maybe mavens are too powerful even for a Irid.
Yeah.
Because the one that she burned, it was an assassin.
Yeah.
So it could be that.
I just want to go back to why Andarna is here. She says princes don't make suggestions. And Andarna and Violet have like a little bit of a fight about, Violet says that he said that to me, not you. And she's like, I'm an extension of you. Andarna wouldn't just take orders from any old human. We know that she doesn't take orders from Violet. So why would she take orders from Oric? We know that when Leothan and the other Irids arrive on the island, they seem to know what everybody's signet is. But the other dragons don't. Another dragon can't tell what signet somebody's got unless they see them wielding. And I think the evidence for that is that 10 doesn't know that Violet is a dream walker until Andarna admits it. But Andarna clearly knows that Oric is precogging at this moment in time. And I think there's so much to Irids that we just don't know.
Well, actually, I was thinking a different way, because something that we can be agree is that Andarna is always in the right place at the right time. And it's been like this from fourth wing. So I didn't know if I take it like, yes, she knows that Eric is a precon and she needs to follow what he's saying because there's a reason for that. Or is Andarna herself the one she can't see what's going on and maybe in future is coming soon, not something with that much, I don't know, advantage like Eric. Maybe a couple of days or a couple of hours or something like this, I'm thinking. And then she was agreed that that temple it was important and they need to be there to win the battle.
Yeah, it could be both. It could be both. Like, I mean, Irids definitely know what signets other people have because they read them when they arrived at the island. But yeah, there is something. Andarna does know what she needs to do, doesn't she? I mean, she knew when she needed to hatch, for goodness sake. That's 650 years after
she knew Violet
laid.
would be hers even when she was in the egg.
Yeah.
So, how?
Yeah. I agree with you. During the fight, Violet says to Andarna, "You always say that you chose me, but I stood in front of you and I would do it again," and all of that. And this, again, is not the first mention of this in these couple of chapters, or these 3 chapters, but just another sign, another tick in the box that Andarna chose Violet a lot earlier than Threshing.
Yes.
We mentioned this in the epigraph, but I also want to talk a little bit about what the priestess says about, do you use lye and the, what was it? Lye and the juice of the manwasa. Manwasa. Don't know if that's a real thing. Don't think it is. Flour on your hair as we do to turn it silver. But this got me thinking, why would Navarre and Poromil outlaw the practice of dedicating a child to the gods? They used to do it when they believed it would help a child by possibly giving them more power. Seems like quite soon after unification, it was banned as a practice. There would be no reason to ban it if the children that became dedicated did not receive some kind of access to divine power. So it's quite clear to me that if you are dedicated, you do possess some kind of power. That makes Dunne's army terrifying. They want the dragons, but these people that are dedicated must have some access to power. Why would it have been banned otherwise?
I don't think it's just the dedication to the gods. I think from leadership, there was a really good attempt to ban any kind of magic. There's no directly from the dragons.
Exactly.
Because that is the gods is one part, but runes as well, they were banned. So it's if something they can't control, because they can control maybe who's going to the dragons and the kind of stuff. They see who's getting the power, and it's one of them. But if somebody from outside is learning how to use magic for runes, is learning how to get the power from the gods. Yes.
Yeah.
So they just want to control who's having the power and make sure that the one that have the power is from their side.
Yeah, I agree. But before this point, we did not know that being dedicated gave you power from gods, and that's what it feels like. Otherwise, why would they have banned it? Like giving them the benefit of the doubt, they might have banned it because you are effectively choosing a life for your child before they can choose it themselves. That is a bad thing to do. But I don't think Navarre cares about that.
But doesn't mean then the Agrona can be dedicated to Dunne. Because I understand that, yes, because a child can't decide what he wants for the future until it's a grown-up. You shouldn't do that for the child, because basically you are forcing the child to serve a god. Then maybe the child is not agreed. But as a grown-up, if you want to
I think you can. I think it's before the age of... It says, doesn't it?
Yes, so why the people from like this priests, they're dying the hair, why they don't go to Umbriel, or why they don't do something to
do it
actually
and
be
wait, like dedicate
dedicated
afterwards.
Yeah,
I wonder if the practice has just been forgotten.
Yeah, could be maybe Scry's fault as well. So they changed the costume, and now that's how they are.
Yeah. There's got to be some connection though. They're like, you have to have extra magic if you are. Otherwise, why would they have banned it? Yeah. So when she says anyway, she says like, no, I don't dye my hair. It grew in naturally like this. The priestess says, you've journeyed far to help us. Does she think that violets come from Umbriel?
Maybe, because I think for at that point, she thinks that she'd been sent by Dunne. So maybe she's thinking it's coming directly from Umbriel.
Yeah. And then Violet chooses a really strange time to start criticizing Dunne outside the temple. It's like a bit of a bonkers thing to do. She says Dunne isn't going to show up ready to fight. And the priestess is like, of course not. She sent you. And then Violet says, well, she's never been revered for her judgment. What a weird thing to say. Violet wouldn't say that, just as, like, maybe she is a bit snarky sometimes. But I wonder what Dunne has done in the past that has been criticised.
I don't know, but I took it as we will see Dunne appearing at some point. Because it was like a perfect sentence to say, yeah, that's not going to happen. And then, boom, it happens.
Well, that's why I was like, Theophanie, boom.
Yeah.
Is she actually a physical manifestation of Dunne? Because Theophanie actually means in, like, is it Greek? The etymology of the name is a physical manifestation of a god. But then, and the fact that Dunne isn't revered for her judgment makes it seem like Dunne made a bad decision. She's actually Theophanie.
No, I think Rebecca Jarvis took as another character that believes that she is a god or she is more powerful than a god. And maybe Theophany was the perfect name for that.
Yeah. But also there's the argument that Violet is actually Dunne.
Yeah, the one who will be Dunne by the end of the series.
Yeah, but I wonder, so this is the thing, there's like this is where my crackpot theory comes in, that Theophany was actually Dunne. I realise this is really weird. Theophany was Dunne, Violet kills her, and then Violet takes her place.
Gonna be, yeah.
Same with Naelin and Malak. I genuinely, like, it's gotta be something.
Yeah, generally believe that, yeah.
I am getting every week more and more. I think it will be a good story. If you killed a god, do you replace them?
Yeah.
Because the gods have been like, I don't know, that's a really bad thing to say, isn't it? In fantasy fiction.
For me, it's going to be just the Brennan is a kind of wyvern. We will see Naolin. They had to kill Naolin. Killing Naolin will kill Brennan, and then we will have another bad moment. Maybe it's going to be Violet, the one who has to kill Naolin.
Yeah. I agree. I think I've got that later in my notes as well. Fashion show time. Theophany is wearing purple. Have we seen a Brennan in purple before?
Yes. So far we have, I think, is maroon, purple, and Berwin is blue. So I think this is kind of like how you difference, like maybe a maven, a sage, and just a regular ascent. So.
But Berwin is blue and Theophany is purple, and they're supposed to be both mavens.
Well, Berwin is the one who officially, he said that I'm a maven. We never heard Theophany calling herself that she's a maven, I think was Violet, the one who just assumed she is a maven.
I thought she was a maven. Thought she confirmed
I think, it's because the power that she has and everything. Unless there may be Berwin is even higher rank, because I haven't seen another Brennan with blue purples. That's why I came with my theory that he has to be Tekaros, because
Tekaros always wears blue.
Was wearing blue when we met him the very first time. He has a tan arm. So they're about to fight, but something weird happened. When after Andarna see that the fire doesn't work. So even Theophanie, she's like laughing on Andarna, like, oh, that make you feel better. And then she stops. She's looking to the sky, and then she starts running away. And then she go through the other two Brennan. Come on, we need to go. And then they just got hands. And then one of them, it just, boop, disappeared with all the rest. So one of them is a distance wielder. Because Violet said it's just exactly like Garrick does. But what I'm intriguing is what happened exactly here at this point. Did she saw the words coming to them? She felt the words coming, like an explosion. They start to expand. Or somehow she saw maybe the Irids, they was just going to the warstone like really fast. And
I
then
think
she
she
knew.
saw a wyvern falling, didn't she?
They come after. So they were running away and then they started to see
Oh, maybe she felt it. Because
Yeah.
she couldn't channel. She couldn't properly channel like normal. Maybe she felt it. I would say she felt it. I've got a question about this situation. We know Theophanie can distance wield because she vanishes from the dungeon in Basgiath at the beginning of the book.
Yes.
Someone else, is it Berwyn, can do it? Or there's definitely someone at Ressen who can do it.
It's Berwyn.
Berwyn
Yes.
does it at Ressen. Any others?
To be honest, I was thinking there was distance wielder, but in the previous fight when Theophanie was fighting against Violet said that she just moved too fast, that she's like really quick. So I'm wondering if instead to be like distance wielder, they just moving at such a speed that the eye can catch it, and then they just think they're like distance wielder.
Right. So you don't think do you think there are any distance wielders on the side of the Brennan?
Yes. Well, we heard just right now the sample, but says Theophanie was with two Brennan, but she didn't say Theophanie was the one who did this. It was like the other Brennan,
Doesn't matter.
the one in the middle, is what she says. So there's a distance wielder there.
I don't
Definitely.
care who it is. I just want to know that you believe there's a distance wielder already on the side of the Brennan.
Yeah, it's in the page. There's a distance wielder. Yes.
So Garrick is the balance. So he's not going to be Brennan.
Yeah, the curious part is we don't know if how this happened. Like, is it always the rider got the signet and then they just turn into a Brennan? Or is it possible that a Brennan can maybe channel somehow had a signet and then you get something like this? Like Jack. We don't know what Jack signet is, but we think that maybe he channeled before he found out what was her signet. So he was a Brennan before even having a signet.
Yeah, I don't think Brennan have signets. I don't think they're signets.
Well, we saw Theophanie that she can wield storms. We saw Berwyn that he's kind of like a dream walker. He was using fire and
Yeah,
flame.
but I should have explained that a bit better. I don't think a Venin would develop a signet. I think the only Venin that have signets are the ones that were previously riders.
Okay.
But that means Theophanie would have been a temple attendant and a rider, and that doesn't make sense either. Oh my God, this episode, we're just confused.
Yeah, the strange part about Theophanie is that it seems that she was first maybe a high priest. Then when maybe she found out that she can like maybe channel the power of the gods when she wants. It's maybe something when the gods ask him.
So then Venin would have signets.
I think so. Because how can you explain the Theophanie being a
Yeah, you
Venin?
can't. You're right.
Yeah.
But anyway, where I'm getting to with the Garrick thing is that this again shows that the Venin are more powerful because they've got multiple distance wielders. We know that Berwyn did it in Ressen. We know that Theophanie might move fast, but there's another one with her that could have done it. There's only one distance wielder in every generation. So Garrick is the distance wielder of this generation. It's already tipped, the balance is already tipped in the favour of the Venin because I got two that we know of. If Garrick turns Venin at the end of the book, which we don't think he does, but if he were to, that would tip it even more the wrong way.
Yeah.
Magic likes everything in balance, and I feel like it's just tipped a bit too far in the favour of the Venom with the distance wielding.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a good call. They had already a distance wielder.
I wonder if Rebecca has put this in there as like, if you look hard enough, you'll be reassured it's not Garrick.
Yeah, something to give you like the clues what's going on. If you remember how this world works.
Yeah. The number one rule
Yeah,
of magic is it likes everything in balance.
Yeah. But yeah, Theophanie disappears. Wyvern starts to fall. Xaden appears as well because obviously after what he felt with Tarn and Sorrengail went to help Tarn. So before the temple started to fall and toward the people, Xaden will help him with the shadows. So he was like the hero in this point. And then is when we see that Leotan is back. And then we see that he was the one who made the walls come back in erasure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the end of the chapter. The Irids are here.
Leotan believes that the dragons are corrupted, right? The other dragons.
I think he doesn't even like the Imperium, so he knows something.
The purpose of the wards is to prevent any magic that isn't via a dragon.
Yes. And one of the words that Leotan said was that it seems there's the only way to save the people or protect the people.
I think it was the only way to get Andarna to go with him.
Yeah, he did, just because he wants Andarna to come with him. And he knew if the words are there, Andarna won't have any excuse to not go because she will know the Violet will stay. It will be safe in Arabia or will be safe in Navarre.
Yeah. We're not believing for a second. I'm not falling for the fact that Violet's safe within the wards, but Leotan seems to think so. So anyway, yeah. That's all. I guess it just feels he obviously has his own ulterior motive, doesn't he? And I think that's taking Andarna. It's not keeping everybody safe because he doesn't believe that the dragons are using magic for a good purpose.
Yeah.
Memoirs of Luzbel. She loved him. She lost him. And he came back. But wasn't completely him. She feared him. She fought him. But she fell for him. Memoirs of Luzbel. Now available on Amazon.
Okay, chapter 53.
Epigraph. Asher returned today. God's help us if anyone finds out. I'm not sure I'll ever forgive him for what he's done to her. Journal of Captain Lilith Sorrengail. Was he honest about what he did? Like, I took her, I tried, they wouldn't do it. She says she's got two paths to choose from. Did he tell her everything?
Not sure, because there's a part in these chapters when I think it's Brennan says to Mira that time when they took them to see Grandma Niara, it was Mommy and Daddy who took them to stay there. So I thought that Lily knew everything was going on. But then in this epigraph is saying the Asher just returned. So
where was
there.
she?
Yeah.
Where was Lilith when this was happening?
Yeah.
And why wasn't she with Brennan and Mira?
Yeah.
She was doing something different. I think they both had tasks.
Mm-hmm.
They both had stuff they were doing. Lilith would have been nothing to do with a god.
Yeah.
Asher took Violet somewhere else.
The only thing that comes to my mind is that maybe she had like a fight or something really important to do with Theophanie. And then what she was maybe trying to slow down Theophanie or trying to stop her, when Asher come back, she found out that Violet it was half dedicated to Dunne, and she can't believe that he did that because Theophanie, she was a high priest of Dunne.
I know, yeah. I imagine how Lilith would have felt because that's like not only doing something that is kind of committing your daughter to a life she hasn't chosen. So that's number one reason why it's bad. Number two reason why it's bad. Theophanie is was a high priestess or was a priestess or of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like saying, well, your mum, you can't defeat her. Maybe your kid can.
Yes.
That's not much confidence in your wife, is it?
Yes. That's how it feels.
Yeah. Also, I mean, that's a decision you should make jointly as parents. I still wonder how he got there, because we had previously talked about the fact that Ten seemed to have been to Umbriel before.
Mm-hmm.
This chapter, though, kind of confirms that they hadn't seen dragons. He hadn't gone with Mum, or it's the next chapter. So I think we get a bit of a confirmation that no dragons went with them.
At least no something that was visible.
Mm-hmm. He would have had to have travelled there, taken a boat. It's a long old trip. And what was Lilith doing?
Yeah.
Fighting Theophanie, possibly. Yeah. It is a weird epigraph, this though, and there's obviously a lot missing in the journals. Well, those months are missing.
For me, something that I'm thinking about all the research that Daddy Sorrengail did, that he started to find out that maybe the dragons are not the good ones, and maybe he started to go to the gods to help Violet, because maybe he thought Violet is the power of the gods, because maybe that's the real power, and that was one of the reasons that he was so opposite to Violet to become a rider, and that's why he was saying that he fell to Brennan, he fell to Mira, because he knew dragons are not good.
Yeah. You've totally nailed that. I am sure that's the reason he did it, because he was researching Feathertails, so he knew that the Feathertails could access the power from the gods. He must have worked out why they left. He must have worked out... If we suspect, the Fables of the Barons, some people suspect that he actually wrote that. Nobody had a physical copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have written it. And some of those stories demonized dragons.
Yes.
If he was trying to give Violet the truth about Venom, why would he also not be trying to give her the proof of dragons being the bad guys? The question is, Lilith clearly either believed that the dragons were good because she was bonded to Aimsa.
Mm-hmm.
There possibly are some dragons that are good. They just don't realise they're corrupted. Sorrengail, hopefully. But the other reason is she could have... We don't know whether Aimsa was in the Empyrean or close to the Empyrean. Could have known that Andarna had hatched and she was going to bond, although nobody could stop her. Possibly she knew and she needed Violet to be a rider so she could bond with Andarna.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. There's something, though, that Lilith and Asher were... She does say that he was the love of her life.
Yes.
But she fundamentally disagreed with him on this.
Well, we had to think that he was a scribe, but he didn't get all this information or all this knowledge when he was young. We're talking about it took years after the children was born. So I think when he started to discover, obviously, Lilith has been born to her dragon decades by this point. So he knew he couldn't do anything for her because that is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
If the dragon dies, she will die. So the best interest for the full family, the dragon, is okay. So they can have Lilith with them. But then that's why he was opposite for the children to be a rider. He didn't want the children to be a rider because he started to find out there was something dodgy happen with the dragons. Maybe not every single dragon know it, but he knew that at least the Empyrean, they are the one who knows everything, and maybe they are the one who are playing with the humans and they're hiding this terrible secret that we still don't know what it is.
Do you think Theophanie came over as part of the second Crowthlan uprising. And when she realised they had no access to the eggs, she stayed and channeled.
Could be, because we know that she was really old.
Yeah.
But we don't know how old she was. Could be from that time. We're talking about maybe 600 years ago.
I think after, because the only time we get confirmation that people from Umbriel came to the continent was as part of the second Crowthlan uprising.
Yeah, the only thing that is interesting is that she knew about the Irids, and apparently she knew more than we think because she was obsessed with Andarna. She wanted Andarna.
Yeah, but so does Jack, and so does Bowen, obviously.
Well, not sure about Jack, because he tried to kill him because he knew Feathertail doesn't fight. He knew that. We don't know how he knew that he was talking about Irids. He wasn't talking just about the baby dragons. I think he generally was talking about the big
He knew way
Irids.
more. He knew way more than he should do.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that he's still alive. He's a Brennan, and even as a Brennan, yes.
Well, they're trying to kill him. The Venom are now Theophanie's trying to kill him. But everyone else is trying to keep him alive. And Markham and Panchak.
So we're starting with this chapter with Leotan there. Fierge is there as well, and when she sees the Irid, she just starts like preparing to attack, and it's Andarna the one who has to intervene, like no, he's like one of mine. And even Leotan says, I was expecting like a better welcoming from a green one, because we know the green ones are like the sensible ones.
Intelligent.
Yes, so why you think that she was so against the Irid? Like, to the point that she was about to attack, and even she says to Rhiannon that he will kill her, because even Rhiannon was saying to Violet, it's a chance that maybe he's gonna kill us, because I don't want first to be right if he tries. So he like a warning.
Yeah.
So really, he doesn't trust her at all.
You know, I noticed the same thing. But why? Why would Fierge hate him?
And interesting to know like how old is her, because maybe if she is an old dragon, she might know a lot of stuff that we don't know. Stuff from the Imperium, stuff from the humans, and then she doesn't trust the Irids.
Yeah, I felt suspicious about this as well, but I just couldn't come up with a good enough reason. Like, maybe she's just not trusting anyway, and she's like the kind of dragon that would attack first and ask questions later. That's like a personality thing. Maybe Leotan shouldn't assume what people are like because of the colour of their scales, or what dragons are like because of the colour of their scales. So that was Leotan maybe being a bit like stereotypy.
Yeah.
At best stereotypy, at worst racist, dragon racist. But yeah, I feel like there's a reason. I don't know whether Fierge can sense that he's come with bad intentions, because he has come to take Andarna. So maybe there's something about Fierge being able to sense more than she lets on. I don't know.
Yeah, so far, what we know is that this is the first time that she's seen her Irid, unless there may be something that happened that we haven't seen on the pages. But there's no reason for her to be in that way.
I guess the only other thing, it could be dragon propaganda. It could just be like the Irids left because they hated us, they were bad, we got rid of them. Maybe it's like we ousted them because they were the demons, they were the bad ones. Possibly there's some kind of dragon propaganda. You'd think that Andarna would have heard that secondhand, and there would be a bit of a problem. I don't know. But the question is, how did the Empyrean respond to Andarna's identity being known? what did they tell the dragons? What did they, because it's always brand new information. There's a 7th den. What were the comms? How did they control the messaging from the Empyrean around the dragons about it? Because it could be that there was some propaganda going on.
Well, we don't know if our dragons found the Irids like something new, because there's a lot of stuff that dragons are keeping for themselves.
Yeah.
And Taryn says all the time, there's some dragon business that doesn't go with humans. So precisely because maybe the Empyrean is against the Irids for what they represent for them. So maybe there's some bad, like you say, bad propaganda.
Yeah, and all of the dragons were kind of hostile towards the Irids. But this probably shows that it's very widespread, the misinformation about the Irids. Is it misinformation? We don't know. We think so.
Maybe they're taking the Irids as maybe cowards because they left the continent. They didn't want to fight.
Ran
and
away.
They left then, yes.
Yeah, but that's not consistent with the message that Fierge is giving Rhys. He'll kill you. That's the opposite, isn't it? So there must be some kind of lies being spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it stuck out to me as well. I agree with you. It's weird.
Yeah.
Leothin tells Andarna that her human is more dangerous than we feared. I think this is another nod to the gods. This has got to be something. Why is she more dangerous than they feared?
Well, he says that he's been watching for a little while since he arrived. And what happens in that little while is Violet killing a wyvern with lightning. So I don't know if he saw all of that. And he sees that, yes, Violet is lethal. And she's really good now. So she can be like a threat for dragonkind as well. Because in the same way that she killed a wyvern, she can kill a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe he just thinks that she's...
Yeah, if she starts to maybe channel from the ground and then she still have that sickness, she's gonna be terrible. Like,
we also don't know how long he's been around. Like, did he follow them back? Has he been there since they got back?
Yeah.
Has he been in Basgiath? Has he been like where?
Yeah, none of the dragons could feel him, so he got know how long he'd been there around just watching.
Yeah. He could have seen her realize that she's a dreamwalker. I don't know how he would have known, because that all happened inside, unless he was like peeping through the windows. But yeah, you don't know. Like, we don't know how long he's been there. I would suspect he's been there quite a long time, just biding his time.
So obviously there's a reason about why Leothan is there, but he just will say it if I just talking to Andarna and Violet. So he asks to the rest of the people who just given a space. So what he does to cut the communication with Taryn and Violet is does this whistle thing again. And then something very interesting that Violet says is that she feels that she has lost the communication with Taryn in the same way that when he drinks the serum. So I was wondering if maybe this serum is somehow made with something from the Irids, because so far we don't know how they're making it. We know the venom they use in the daggers when they're fighting against riders. They cut them, the serum goes inside, and they cut the communication with the dragon, so they had no power. We saw that in the LSC as well when they are a student. How they managed to do this, because Leothan is magic, so he can bend, he can control, he can break bones and stuff with magic. But then how the venom they managed to create like a serum or something that it does exactly the same that the Irids does.
So, first one, I think this is why Daddy Sorrengail was killed. I think he found this cure for venom. I think he developed the serum after his research on Irids. He was a very good potion master, so we know that. We know he was researching Irids, so he could have found out that this was breaking the connection. I do think this is the cure. I think that breaking the connection for good with magic is the only way that's going to stop venom. It's also going to stop Dragon Rider connections. It's going to stop magic basically being accessible. We talk about this every week. We think that is the way the series will end. But I think Daddy Sorrengail found this serum and the scribes killed him for it, or the leadership killed him, because one, this is very dangerous. It can take out the power of the dragon. It can take out a rider's power. Mm-hmm. Two, in the hands of a venom, that's exactly what they're going to do with it. Possibly Panchek could have given them, or somebody at Basgiath could have given them the recipe for the serum. Mm-hmm. But I genuinely think this serum was developed by Daddy Sorrengail as a way of, if we do genuinely believe he thought that the dragons were the bad guys, you don't know. He could have been doing it to effectively wipe out the dragon's power, but also could have been doing it. He could have seen it as the answer to everything. That's dangerous. I think that would be the reason why he was killed.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because I always think that he found the cure, or he was like really close to find the cure. But what he really found was first a way to control the venom inside. I'm convinced that at some point Lilith channeled and was Daddy Sorrengail the one who was given like a kind of a medicine to keep that venom inside on control. And then when he died, I think she was desperate to find somebody else that's able to make this, or somebody else that can maybe carry on with the investigation that he was doing, because maybe he was close to, or maybe he found that. But for Lilith, she never saw the final product or the final thing. And that's why maybe she was asking to Nolan if this thing is a way to cure the venom. And then Nolan started to check, and no, there's no cure. There's just control. So now at this point, Leotan started to talk to Andarna and Violet. And he says to Andarna that all the stuff that happened to her is not her fault. And he wasn't agreed with the other Irids. They blamed her for the stuff that she wasn't responsible. But he generally believes that Andarna should have the chance to go back to the island with the other Irids and start to learn about their way. But he said that it will take years, and Andarna said that no, I can't just leave Violet, bond to Violet, so we can't break that bond. And they let him say, well, you are Irid. You can bend, you can break the bond, so you can do it, as long as you are not the first one. And then he asked to Violet, who was the first one to bond you? And then Violet remembered the famous sentence from Turn, step aside, Silver One. And then she says, turn. And then she looks at Andarna and says, you didn't talk to me until I was in the fly field and you told me your name. Andarna, she doesn't know, she doesn't do anything here. She doesn't confirm that yes, that was the first time that she talks to Violet. And for me, that is suspicious, and that's just confirmation about what I said before, that Andarna was the first one to talk to Violet, and she was doing it when Violet was in the goblet. That little voice that Violet was listening when it was giving like telling her that she can do it, that she goes so far to pass the gauntlet. I'm convinced that's Andarna. And Andarna, I think she's maybe thinking at this moment, and she's not saying anything, but she is just letting it happen.
Yeah, but what benefit is Andarna maybe talking to Leothan in the background, saying it was actually me, I bonded her first? Because whatever the answer, Leothan doesn't feel bothered. He's like, oh, fine, it's going to work then. But actually, if it was the other way around, why did he ask if it actually matters? Because, do you see what I mean? Violet's saying it was 10. And then Leothan's like, well, you can break the bond then. if it was Andarna, does that make a difference?
Yeah, it's a strange thing because obviously he said bonds is just like a barely link of magic between the dragon and the
bend it,
human.
break it, you can do whatever you want with
Yes,
it.
exactly. So, like you say, what is the point if maybe it's Andarna? Plus, he said later on, then later you can come back and then you can decide if you want to bond to Violet again. So, I don't know if maybe when she was a Feathertail, she was just connecting and maybe unplugging the bond or something. So she was
No, I wonder
not
if
permanently.
I wonder
doing
if she was the one that let Ten bond. And this is the thing, isn't it? That we thought the Empyrean were going away to talk about whether they would let Andarna bond. But actually the question was, is Ten allowed to bond her? Because nobody questions Andarna. She's the head of her den. The other thing that I wonder is, why would it take 2 years to learn peace? Why would it take a couple of years? What are they doing over there that requires 2 years worth of learning?
Yeah.
Because if you're just learning to live in peace, yeah, maybe you would like get stressed and you would like automatically respond with an aggression rather than a peaceful thing. I don't know. But it wouldn't take 2 years, would it? Surely you'd just be like, oh my God, this new way of life is bliss. Can I live like this?
Yeah.
What are they doing over there? They're doing something.
Well, I think it has to be maybe with the other parts of the world that maybe Andarna doesn't know. Because we saw that when they were in the island, when they went into the water, the scales changed color. Why? It's maybe magic in the water as well. And then just giving magic to the water, giving magic to the ground, giving magic to the sky. That kind of stuff that maybe
I think they
like,
I think they probably have to channel to fly over the water. Do you know, like, because you have to channel from the sky.
Yeah.
But it just feels like there's something. They don't live with humans. What do they do with their days that takes 2 years to learn? Feels odd.
Plus they are Feathertail, so there's not much stuff they can do with that. Just
chill out.
Yeah. If it's a really
Sunbathe.
dusty island, you can just clean it with a tail.
Yeah. That's what they're doing. They're cleaning
All
the
the time.
island. They're just polishing. But there's no humans there. There's no, like, they just live. Surely. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Andarna comes back so quickly. She's like, well, learned it. Come back again. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
They're just chilling out over there.
Yeah. I know how to live in peace now. I can go back to Oration and kill all the venom.
Yeah. For peace.
Yeah,
In the
of
name of
course.
peace. Just another question about this whole interaction. And coming back to who bonded to who first. We have definitely at least one other instance where the Venin are interested in this question as well, aren't they? Like, they want to know who bonded first.
Yeah, I think it was Theophanie.
Theophanie,
the first
yeah.
one to ask, yes.
Why are they worried about that? I mean, I'm just bringing you loads of questions today. I'm sorry. But I think this worries them. I think the fact that Andarna bonded Violet first does have a material impact on what Andarna could possibly do. I don't think she can break the bond because she bonded her first. So there is still an area of the archives. Is it the window that Andarna stuff comes through? But it's like bricked up or something. When she takes away the bond. So it's not gone forever. Possibly if Andarna had bonded second, then she could have completely cut it. But because she bonded her first, there will always be that empty space ready for her to, I don't know. But I wonder if this is what worries the Venin, the fact that if Andarna bonded her first, then Violet is more powerful because most of her, like, kind of, not the channeling power, but most of her access to magic comes from a different type of magic.
Yeah. What I was thinking is that Theophanie, she's really interested in Andarna. She really wants Andarna as well. And the fact that she's wondering who was the first one to bond, I was just wondering if it's Andarna the first one to bond. and Violet turned herself into a venom, doesn't mean that maybe Andarna will be affected somehow. Then she will be still bonded to a venom. And then the venom can have the power of the Irid as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. They could be after that. But then I think ultimately both of them could still be bonded to her, but regardless of whether it was first or second. But I like that.
Yeah, but I think maybe if you're the second one, you have more chance to maybe not be affected. Or if you're an Irid, maybe you can remove that second link. Because Lotan said only an Irid will be able to do something like this.
Yeah. It says humans should only be able to bond with one dragon.
Yeah.
The only way to do it would be to bond with an Irid or to not be human.
Say Violet then a demigod at this point.
Well, yeah, I was starting to think that, but then I was like, but she has an Irid. So it's not the same. So if like Xaden had bonded two dragons, but one wasn't, they were both normal dragons, yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. Because you can like...
channel more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't... It's the fact that it's an Irid that makes the difference. And Violet has an Irid. But I also think Lyra had an Irid. I really do think Lyra had an Irid, possibly Andarna's mother or father.
Yeah.
Who laid the egg. Definitely be the mother who laid the egg.
That's how we get the 6 and the 1.
Yeah.
6 riders, 7
Yeah, I
dragons.
think that dragon... Maybe there was no bond, but either way, the dragon agreed to help. And they're either convinced by the other 6 dragons, but I just get the feeling that Violet is the Lyra of the group. They defeated the Venom, but it cost Lyra everything. And I feel like that's the loss of her dragon. Because that would be everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but then she will be dead.
No, because she had another one. It's just like Violet in the next chapter. She lost one dragon.
Okay.
And she obviously never got over it. And I don't think Violet would have ever got over it. But it's fine because Andarna came back. She got some strength to fight. She got the strength to take a bath. She got the strength to like shout at her brother and sister. So Leothin says her other bond will sustain her life. This is evidence that if you have 2 dragons, one of them dies, you stay alive. I mean, we know that, but also Andarna didn't die, but she broke the bond in the same way that you would if you died. If your dragon died, I think one of her dragons is going to die.
Remember in the beginning, you were saying that Andarna will be the ultimate sacrifice.
I think she will be.
Like the balance of everything.
Yeah. I don't think, although now we suspect that there's no bond between Sorrengail and Tern because Andarna has temporarily broken it.
Yes.
Violet dies, Tern dies, Sorrengail dies, Xaden dies. That's the purpose of this link. But Violet, because they think that Violet is the quickest way to kill Xaden. But now we know, and she should just like spread the news a little bit. It should be obvious. If Violet dies, Tern would die, Sorrengail would die, Xaden would die. But if Tern died, Violet wouldn't die because she'd have Andarna. After this chapter, she wouldn't have Andarna. But
Sorrengail will die and Xaden will die.
Yeah. I don't think Xaden and Violet are going to die, which makes me think Tern is not going to die. And Sorrengail is not going to die. I think Andarna's going to die.
Yeah, so this is being like the test from Rebecca Yarros. Like, okay, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
There's going to be violent in turn for a while.
Will
And then it's
Andarna
going to be bad.
burn out, breaking all these connections with magic? Will she sacrifice herself to break all the bonds between the venom and the magic with the riders and the magic, and that's where magic is dead? And as part of that, Andarna's used all the power.
We know that something happened 650 years ago to vanish all the venom in one go. So maybe that thing that happens, maybe one of the Irids has to sacrifice himself
Yeah.
or something to get rid of all the venons. On
Yeah,
the side.
Lyra's Irid.
Yeah, and then that's why all the Irids decide to leave, because they don't want just
To be taken, yeah.
take it for granted that if the venom come back, then they have the Irids to sacrifice themselves because they don't believe that is the solution. The solution is that venom and people lives in harmony.
No, there
That's
are
what they
no
want.
venom. I think they don't think humans are worthy because humans are the venom.
They just want the power.
Yeah.
The problem is all the ones they just want the power, regardless of the source.
Yeah, and then that goes for dragons as well.
Yes.
So cut off the power, and then the problem goes away. Or it'd be nice if the solution was love, but people would still channel for the people they love.
Yeah. It's not the solution.
No. Anyway, I'm calling it now. One of those dragons is not going to make it, and I think it's going to be the Andarna.
She will be like the one to be sacrificed and won't activate this
Yeah.
chain reaction.
Another reason why I potentially think it would be Andarna is that Rebecca Yarros never intended for them to be bonded. Had she intended for them to be bonded, and that was and Andarna was the sacrifice, then possibly, like she decided at that point that the one dragon would keep the other one alive. Whereas if it was always 10 that was going to die, Rebecca Yarros didn't intend for Andarna to be connected to Violet, so that would have ultimately meant that Violet died.
But to be honest, if there's a scene that maybe Tern is dying and he knows he's going to die, he could ask to Andarna, could the
Break
link?
the bond.
Yes. So
Now he knows.
Sorrengail and Violet, they can live.
Yeah, she has the power now, doesn't she?
Yes. Well, she learned and those works that she
Yeah,
gets
and
out.
maybe that's what they're learning. Maybe that it takes 2 years to learn how to properly bend magic and use magic to their advantage, but not like to the advantage at the disadvantage of other people. Maybe they are learning stuff that takes a long time.
But yes, Violet can feel that Andarna wants to go with Leotan, and she can feel like maybe that struggle. Leotan said that she has to do it. Andarna said that she doesn't know how to do it. And then it's Leotan, the one he does for her. And then, yes, Violet feels that that bond between her and Andarna is gone. And then Leotan leaves, and Andarna follows.
I'm going to read it.
Okay.
It's like the challenge to read it without crying. I'm going to be fine. A roar vibrates my very bones, and my ears ring as the edges of my vision darken. My heart stutters and my lungs cease their struggle. There's no air, no reason to seek it. I was infinite, yet moored, and now I'm hollow and adrift in waters too vast to comprehend. My knees buckle, then collide with the ground. And then a break. The sky darkens and the ground trembles. I look up into the black void and my vision narrows in an ever-shrinking circle. Not the sky, a wing. Stern, demanding, golden eyes appear. You will breathe. His deep, gravelly voice fills my head. An unyielding strength barrels down the pathway that connects us. Oh my God. It's horrible. And she thinks that the way that Tern responds is he like puts his wing over her. She thinks that it's the night sky and he's like keeping her alive right now.
Yes, you will breathe.
Oh, it's really, like, I can't read that without even getting a lump in my throat. I remember exactly, like, the first time I read this, I was sat there, you were sat here, and you hadn't got to that bit yet, and I was like...
I was crying.
There's 3 parts in this book that made me cry like a baby. The first one was when I thought Ten was dying, in chapter 10. I hate that chapter. This was the second one. And then, like, when Quinn dies, that is really, really sad. But this is the worst one.
Yeah. Because this is the part when we thought, yes, Andarna's gone and we won't see her again.
Yeah, but it's not even that. I know I'll see her again now. But I can't read this part without getting upset because Rebecca Yarros knows how to write loss. She knows how to write a deep emotional, there's no other word for it, but a heartbreak.
Yeah, this
Because
is
of
not
death.
about knowledge, it's about feelings. You get trapped in the feeling at the
Yeah.
moment.
And she doesn't only know how to write it once. She knows how to write it when Liam died. She knows how to write it when Lilith died. All of these, there is no other author that can make me cry like Rebecca Yarros. She knew how to do it when Liam died. She knew how to do it when Lilith died. She knew how to do it when we thought we'd lost Ten. She also knew how to do it when we thought we'd lost Mira. But that was more of a shock factor than a, really upset. She knew how to do it when we thought Riddick was dying in Iron Flame.
Yes, on the cliffs.
On the cliff when the arrow, oh my God. She just knows how to make people cry. And this, the words that she felt moored and now she's floated, just lost. It is so emotional. It's incredible writing. I'm not going to go off on my tirade about people who say that this is bad writing, but she's experienced loss very clearly.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it comes through. It's harrowing, that scene.
And with this, we're moving on to chapter 54.
Epigraph. No rider has ever survived the loss of their dragon. I can't imagine wanting to. Colonel Kaori's Field Guide to Dragonkind. Number 1, this is just setting us up for how hard this is going to be for Violet.
Yeah.
But also we know at least one rider who has survived the death of their dragon. And that is Jack Barlow.
Would you consider it a rider? Because he was a proper venom when he killed his own dragon.
Yeah, but he was still a rider. He turned venom, but Kaori wrote this before the venom, before he knew about the venom.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think if I was just a normal human, it won't survive the death of the dragon.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You got to replace the power with something, and that's exactly why Mira is so worried. She thinks that she had to replace the power by channeling. Yeah. But Jack did survive it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I'm saying it's just because it seems there's kind of like a ritual between the initiates that want to be an assassin, because that's what we see at the end of this book, that you need to kill the source of the dragon, so you need to channel deeper into the ground to replace that power.
Yeah.
Violet is in bed, and she can shake the feeling that Andarna is gone. It's something that is just... It's just not sad. It's something that she physically, mentally feels. There's something that's missing. A big part of her is missing. So Tern is given full access now. He was before just always really private with her stuff. Now to compensate, to make sure that Violet always feels this with somebody. And she has full access to everything that happens. So she can hear when Tern is talking to the elders and saying everything that happened to Andarna. And we still don't know if Tern is part of the elders or if he's just talking to other ones.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I think we'd know if he was. Because he'd be at Erasure a lot more. Just because he's the second most powerful, it doesn't mean he's the second oldest.
Yeah, from the Black Ones. But yeah, he is just carry on with his life. Even he's talking to Xaden as well. Make sure that Violet is eaten, that she is looking after herself.
Yeah. The weirdest thing for me was what she says about Sorrengail. She hears him bickering with Sorrengail about her excessive hovering. Excessive hovering over who? it must be that she's hovering over him. Does Sorrengail not know what to do with herself? She's lost Andarna. Andarna was like her baby. She wasn't, but she was like a mother to Andarna. She's probably heartbroken as well, but she won't be admitting it. But she possibly needs probably needs like open access to Ten at this point, and he's bickering with her.
Yeah.
Maybe she's worried for Ten. Maybe she's like, she thinks that he's lost a connection or he's lost a bond that's maybe akin to a rider's bond or a mating bond, and she's worried for Ten's safety. She's worried that he won't be okay. Mm-hmm. Or she's struggling herself. It's definitely something. Sorrengail isn't the type to hover.
Yeah, I think there's a part when she even said that she can't believe that Andarna did this. Maybe she feel betrayal that after all this time, all this situation that happened together, and she just decided to live with the Irids.
Maybe, but I think it's deeper than that. I think Sorrengail is heartbroken. It's not just that I don't think she's angry. Mm-hmm. I think she's heartbroken and worried. And so she's like, she doesn't know what to do with herself. And that's not normal for Sorrengail. So Ten is like, what's wrong with you? You're being weird. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're bickering anyway. I thought that was the bit that jumped out to me on that, because it's not normal Sorrengail behaviour.
True. So Violet, at this point, is thinking that this film may be like another test, that maybe it's like a mentally gauntlet that Andarna is doing for her, and she's just failing. So when she says this, and she put like the gauntlet and Andarna together, for me was just another tick. Yeah, it's definitely Andarna, the one who was talking in that point for Violet. But yeah, Violet basically stays in bed for 4 days until Mira arrives. And Mira is the one who had like no mercy with her. She said, hey, I didn't came this far just to see you lay down there. And then, yes, she started to feel better. She even started to stand up in the bed. Brennan arrives. And then Xaden, Brennan, Mira, and Violet, they're in the same room. Then we see the Violet found out that Xaden opened the door for Tyrandor against the Scenarion's will. So she knows that this is a big deal, that basically he's doing all the opposite that the Kingdom of Navarre asking to do. So they could be like treason again.
Yeah, this is it now. We are well and truly over the civil war line, aren't we?
Yes.
It's not civil war, that's the wrong word.
Well, it's a rebellion, basically, again. Because Tyrandor is not following the orders of the king.
Is it civil war? I wonder what the definition of civil war is.
It's still civil war because it's the Kingdom of Navarre. Tyrandor is inside. Yes.
This is is it like a coup?
I'm not sure you're talking like that, because I thought it's when you try to replace the
when the
king.
army.
Yeah, so it's like when Fen tried to do, I think, that he tried to. I don't know if I tried to defeat the king.
Did.
Or
I don't think he tried to do anything. I think
he was doing maybe the same, and then he was.
I think there was probably a Venin breach, and they went to fight. You know, like the Ressen thing. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's what happened. And it was never that he rallied the troops and he went to attack, but the propaganda is that it was a rebellion.
Yeah, they were attacking Navarre. Yeah,
but I don't think that happened. I think they were just found, and they were used as a scapegoat. Yeah, it was Venin that attacked, Venin that destroyed all those people, killed a load of people, and Fen Ryerson was blamed for it because it's a convenient scapegoat.
Yeah, because something that we start to see is the Venin, or at least Venin attack, wasn't that common by the times of Fen Ryerson. Maybe there was a few. It's not as much as we see now, because after that is when Venin started to be more organized and start to be more present.
Yeah, I think he would have been found out like stealing daggers and possibly supplying daggers to
Poromil.
But there must have been something. There was something, wasn't there? Because Brennan was on the front line. Brennan found out, there was more than just a rebellion. Because it wasn't really what were they rebelling against? They were just trying to defeat the Venom, weren't they?
Yeah.
There is a bit of a funny part, it made me laugh this bit, where Brennan's trying to get in the door and Xaden says, I can kill him if you like. And Mira was like, and give him a chance to fake his own death again? No, let him in. And then let him in. And Mira says, they have this fight, and he said, Brennan is a bit aggro here. He walks in and he's like, I didn't want you to come here so you could get in bed with her. And Mira was like, look, I've been here 5 minutes and she's already talking. What were you doing? So he runs through a list of what he was doing. Mm-hmm. He says, sitting in that chair, he points beside the bed, figuring out how to house and feed thousands of people currently climbing the Madaro Pass, while overseeing a massive increase in forge output, in addition to spending my evenings mending every wounded rider capable of flying here from the front. I just wanted to call this out because after Onyx Storm, I just can't rationalise him being bad. I can rationalise him being still connected to Nailin or a result of Venom activity, but I cannot rationalise him having bad intentions.
Yeah.
One, going back to the fact that Xaden can read intentions. Why would he leave him in charge of Rice and House if he didn't think he had good intentions? And all these things that he's trying to do, trying to work out where to house thousands of people, increasing the output from the forge, that's obviously as a result of Navarre not getting any weapons because all the Palladium is being diverted to their forge. But that's a really good point. Are Navarre not able to create any weapons anymore? Or the alloy hilted daggers, they're not able to produce them because they're not getting any of the alloy. Well, any of the Palladium, which makes up the alloy.
Yeah.
Also, Violet is starting to get some, not energy, motivation, I guess, purpose back. And she starts to talk about what she's missed. And she says, I'll start small. I've missed 3 days of rune training. And that's the one thing that she makes a point of saying it's the one thing that she doesn't let Xaden help with. Is that just stubbornness, or is there more of a reason why she wouldn't want to let Xaden help with that?
No idea, because obviously Violet always, she thinks about herself as somebody that's really capable of a lot of stuff. And I don't know if for her, asking her to say that, it feels like she is being weak, that she's being like somebody that needs help with something that's really easy.
Because he's always given her the, find a better way, find a different way attitude. So, that probably is right. But she does have a real moment of vulnerability in this chapter where she asks for help. He says, I can help you. And she's like, help me.
Yeah, there was a part that was funny when Xaden said, sorry to tell you this, love, but 3 days won't make any difference.
Yes, 3 days. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
But that's not true. Quinn manages to help her. Next chapter.
Yeah. Violet, she decided she needs a bath, so Xaden is helping. While he's helping, Brennan and Mira, they're having a discussion in the room. And all started was because Brennan sees the Mira, she's wearing a bracelet that he recognized as one of the Grand Maniera, and that's how everything starts. And Xaden even says to Violet, who's Niara? Because they're talking about this and it's like as a really important subject or something like this. And then she's like, oh shit. So they go there and yes, they're really fighting about it. And here again, we see is that Brennan is showing this scar rune and the palm of the head. So this is maybe the second time, I think, because the first time was in Iron Flame and the first chapter. It's not been mentioned ever again until here. So
it's mentioned. It's mentioned that he doesn't have one on his neck after Sloane siphoned through him. That's suspicious because it means that Violet suspects that that's what it was from. So she suspects possibly that Naelin was siphoning through him and he was mending himself. So she suspects that. So Rebecca Yarros vetoed that one by saying he doesn't have the rune on his neck like he does on the palm of his hand, just after he's stopped Mira from dying.
Yeah.
So that is a weird mention of it. So they're the only mentions that I can think of. Shall we recap the current suspicions around this rune?
Yeah, sure.
Resurrection rune. So Naelin was either Tyrish, and that's how he managed to weave this rune with Tern's power and put it on his hand, and that's how he managed to resurrect him. Either he did that with Tern's power and burnt out and managed to do it, or he didn't burn out and he turned venom and managed to do it with earth magic. That would be interesting, because that would mean that potentially Brennan has, because runes either hold magic or are able to be sustained from magic. And the question is, does that rune still draw from the earth if it was created with power from the earth? And that could be an interesting link as to why I don't think Brennan is bad, but he's not. But he has a link to the magic, and it's not him that's channeling it, but the rune is channeling it. The opposite, which we've said before, nicotine patch rune. So we know that Brennan has either been tempted by the magic before, the power before, because in the book of Brennan there's that epigraph that says that first rush when your dragon channels for the first time is unmistakable, but be careful, because that magic can...
The power in your hand.
Yeah, it says, the power in the palm of your hand, which again mentions the rune, but like secondhand. And then it says it can quickly turn to control you. And it feels like he's been tempted before, or he has. And there's also this suspicion that Fen wouldn't have shot the arrow for absolutely no reason. Did Fen think that Brennan or know that Brennan had turned? Did he die, thus like killing the venom in him? And then he was resurrected and he effectively had a second chance, like maybe. And that could justify why I think there's so much suspicion around him, for all those reasons I've just mentioned. But he doesn't seem like he's a venom now, unless he's gone so far that he's actually an Asum or a Sage, and he is one of the ones that is not an Asum, a Sage or a Maven who was like really adept at disguising himself. But I just don't feel like he's venom now. The other one we talked about is a masking rune for his appearance. That's your number one theory, isn't it?
Well, it was. But obviously, we were talking about Iron Flame. Then after all the events of Onyx Storm, I changed it, because, like you say, we start to see that Brennan is actually a good person. But I still not thinking that he is 100% somebody we can trust. How I see it, it's more like, when maybe somebody owns a favor to the mafia, that you are a good person, but if the mafia comes to you and tell you have to do this for us now, you are a good person, but then you are in a situation that you know that you had to do it, you had no power to say no. So I think there's specific moments when some kind of entity, could be maybe the Vanny who create a Brennan, says, I need you to do this for me. So it's not constantly there, but in specific situations, it's telling to Brennan to do something. Yeah,
well, we know that life debts exist in this world, because the healer owed Violet a life debt, and he called it... I don't know whether that was actually a physical, magical life debt, or whether it was just something that if someone saves your life, you owe them. Jack even felt it with Violet. Felt like when the mountain crashed on top of him, that gave him because he says it on the top of the tower, doesn't he? And he saves her life. And then Violet's like, well, that's weird. That feels like it should be the other way around. I now owe him twice, kind of thing. But Yeah, I like that. I have a new theory about what the rune could be. And am I trying to make it fit my Nailin as Malak theory? Possibly. But my new theory is that this rune on his hand is essentially like a blessing or a touch from Malak. We know that a high priestess has a tattoo on their forehead.
Yes.
Is Violet mistaking the mark on his hand for a rune? She's shit at runes. Is she mistaking that for a mark? Just like, because she specifically calls the tattoo on the forehead a tattoo. She doesn't call it a rune.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is a result of Nailin bartering with Malak or replacing Malak. But actually it's a mark of how he came back. Because ultimately he went to Malak. If he did, he went to Malak and Malak spared him.
Yeah.
Is that a mark that he is now touched by Malak?
Yeah.
I don't think it's an accident that this tattoo is mentioned in the same kind of group of chapters on the forehead.
I mean, I give you I think as well that at some point Brennan was actually dead. And that's why Rebecca just gave us this hint that he was Azarite, that means resurrected.
Marb is also
Marb, that
Gaelic
means
for like
dead body
corpse,
or corpse,
yeah.
yes. And when he was talking about Naolin, he was saying as well that Naolin, when he was trying to save his life, cost him everything. He didn't say he dies. He said cost him everything. So we don't know if he lost humanity, he lost his power to make sure that Malik doesn't take him forever or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's something there.
He could have traded
Yeah.
his life for Brennan's, like,
Yeah,
just
Brennan said it cost him everything. So maybe, humanity, everything. Take me instead of Brennan.
yeah, but I just feel like I don't trust Violet knowing that that's a rune, because we know that she's not the most reliable rune maker.
Yeah, I'm still thinking that once you find out about the book of his dad, we'll find out that it's a rune there that actually has a meaning. I'm convinced that that one is a masking rune, but the one of Brennan, still a mystery.
Yeah. So Brennan and Mira are having this full-blown argument because Mira has, in combination, heard from Niara. So we find out that it wasn't Niara that stopped talking to the Sorrengails. It was the Sorrengails that stopped talking to Granny Daxton. There has to be a few reasons why that happened. But we know that Lilith and Asher disagreed on what they had done. I think, so Niara looked after Brennan and Mira while Daddy Sorrengail took Violet to Umbriel. Then he came back. Violet had half silver hair. It could have been the reaction to that Niara caused Niara to stop talking to her son because she couldn't believe that he had done that. One, it is a bit of a silly thing for somebody so intelligent to do when it's illegal and it's so obvious. It's like a physical change that you can see. And then Brennan says she hated Mum. So it could have also been that she knew that Lilith had channeled at some point. I think Niara will have known about Venom because these are like folklore that pass down. Even though suspiciously it does say that Lucerys is the one where no information gets to because it's so far away from the conflict. So how she would know, I don't know. But I do think that her husband, Asher's dad, was also a scribe because we have Colonel Daxton's Guide to the Scribe, or I don't know what it's called, but Guide to the Scribe Quadrant. And it's not Asher because the military ranks don't make sense in the timeline. So yeah, she definitely stopped. It coincides with the dedication, which makes me think that she was horrified by the fact that her son had tried to dedicate Violet.
She must know there was something illegal, something that he shouldn't been done. But at the same time, I don't know if maybe she knew that he was playing maybe with forces that he shouldn't do. And then putting the gods in Violet's life is something that it won't be maybe something good for her.
Mira went to find out more about the dedication. So she went to talk to priestesses. She's hunted around Navarre. She hasn't found her records anywhere. There's good reason for that because it was actually on Umbriel. But she said the heart that beat for you or within you would do the wrong thing for the right reason, reach for unspeakable power and turn dark. And I love this. The words are just so clever. Like, the hearts that beats for you or within you, it wasn't clear whether it was going to be her or Xaden. Mira didn't even consider that it would be Xaden because she doesn't understand love yet. Maybe she's falling for Drake, but we don't know. And this is where Xaden's like, it was the heart that my heart beats for her.
Yeah.
She is like my reason to be alive. And he's the one that's turned.
Yes. And this is when she found out that Xaden is a Brennan. And not only that, she found out that Violet knew and Brennan knew as well. So she was feeling just completely excluded of this.
Yeah. But she's like, he will kill you. That's what they all do. And Xaden knows immediately that she has no intention of telling anyone, which feels a stretch for me. Like, Mira knows, though, I guess. There's nothing Mira can do now about it, because if she was to kill Xaden, Sorrengail would die, Ten would probably die. Although, yeah, let's just say Sorrengail would die, Ten would die, and Andarna's not there, so Violet would die. So she can't kill Xaden, as far as she's aware. But Ten always does say that it would be a minor inconvenience for Sorrengail if Xaden died.
Yeah. But yeah, in this part, when Xaden tells to Violet that she's not going to tell to anyone because he can read the intentions, Violet is surprised as well. Like, what? Like, you can go through mirror shields. How does even work? But I don't know, again, if I just like defending psyche, even when he's not channeling, he's still boosting the sickness that he has. And then he can just giving like little hints here that he's getting more powerful.
Yeah. That shields don't, from the Venom side, it's a different type, isn't it? So the shields don't work.
Yes.
Which is terrifying, because then, there's no shields that work against a Venom.
Mira leaves.
She says, good luck keeping her alive.
Yeah.
Does she say that because she knows if people find out, they'll kill her? And this is where it comes to the end of the book, where they want to kill Violet to get to Xaden.
No, I think generally she thinks that he will turn into a Venom, and once he is a Venom, he will kill her because Violet won't do anything to kill him.
It's a weird thing for her to say, though, isn't it, about her sister, and just leave. Good luck keeping her alive, and then leave.
Yeah, I think generally she doesn't believe that it will happen. She's just furious, and then she's just saying that but because she's angry, but not because she actually believes that it will happen. Yeah,
unfortunately, this could very well have been the last time they spoke to each other.
Yes.
And Violet would have not forgiven herself for letting her leave.
Yeah, it would be exactly the same that Xaden and Fan. The last words was a nice ones.
Yeah.
Was an anger. And with those words, we finish this chapter.
Yes. So it's time for Oryx Auguries, the part of the show where we talk about our favourite theory from this week.
Yes.
And stitch them together at some point and make a big stitch of wildly incorrect theories when we've read book 4. What's your favourite one from this week?
I will go with the serum they given to the riders to block the power. Somehow it's related to the Irids. I don't know how they're making it, but I think it's something related to them.
Yeah, I'm going to build on that with the theory that Daddy Sorrengail produced the serum, and that is why the scribes killed him, or leadership killed him.
Yeah.
Sticking with the theme of precognition, the epigraph for chapter 55 next week. As our largest province, Tyrrendor provides the most conscripts for our forces. However, the strength of Navarre isn't only found in Tyrish soldiers, but also in the province's most valuable resource, Teladium. Losing it would doom Navarre. On Tyrish History, a complete accounting, 3rd edition by Captain Fitzgibbons.
I mean, pretty clear what's going on here and what is the current situation.
Yeah, but I don't think we fully appreciate how the shit is hitting the fan for Navarre.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're
next week.
talking about it next episode, yes?
Next week. So, shall we enter the interrogation chamber?
Okay, let's go to the interrogation chamber.
If you had to fly into battle to protect Dunne's temple, taking only something from our house, what would you take as your weapon?
Easy. I'll take a fry pan.
A frying pan.
Yes, like tangled. Something that I think it would be really useful. Could be something to protect and to attack as well.
I would take our 4-year-old. He is an absolute brute.
A 4-year-old.
Yeah, I would take him. I'm not saying any names. So yeah, I would take him.
Yeah.
Don't you think he'd be brilliant?
To take it to the...
I want to say his name. Don't you think nothing, gets knocked over, gets straight back up again. He's just, I think he'd be brilliant. I think, and if those that, didn't think, and, those that he couldn't protect him against, they'd just think he was cute.
Yeah, then, true.
I honestly think the venom would not know what hit them if they were coming up against our 4-year-old.
Yes. I see it now.
Nothing phases him. Just straight back up again.
It's like a maven. Doesn't bleed.
He doesn't. He's yeah. It just he can fall over, graze his knee. It's like, are you hurt? No.
Just laugh.
Yeah. There's something strange about that boy.
Okay. What about for next week?
Okay, for next week, we know there are at least 3 months missing from Lilith Sorrengail's journal. If you could find out one piece of missing information from General Sorrengail's journal, what would it be?
Okay. Interesting one. I mean, I think right now I know what I want to say.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't. I've got to think about this, and I wrote the question. And that's all we've got time for this week. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. We're most active on Instagram, so come and join the conversation. We'd love to hear your theories. So if you've got one, send it our way. We always give credit on the show and on socials because, let's be honest, the best theories come from all of you.
And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye!